Okay then guys, what I thought I'd do is a quick review of my Squale 1521 just before it goes off to its new home, so you can get a bit of a feeling for what type of watch it is in case you guys want to pick one up. Okay, so I got this watch from Page & Cooper 12 months ago. If you guys want to know any of the history and stuff about the watch, then I'd recommend you go over to the Urban Gentry channel where it's pretty much well documented. I think it's at about 5, so I highly recommend you go there, have a look at it. It's got all the Von Buren and history of the family and all that sort of stuff. But I'm probably just going to take a look at the watch as just a pragmatic view of it, really, an objective view. Okay, so firstly, this is what it comes in. Squale box, it's nice enough. Like I say, I got this from Page & Cooper. There's a few complaints online and on different forums that the quality is just not up there, and perhaps maybe issues with sending it back to Squale. However, if you go through a company like Page & Cooper, and I believe Long Island Watches sell them, and people like that, then I'm sure they'll stand behind you and stand behind the watch as well. So you open it up, you get your little tag there with Squale written on it. You get some random bit of plastic, which I don't know, I think apparently they try and say that it's from old stock from the 60s, but I just don't care. You get a little warranty card if it's from Page & Cooper, and a tiny wee booklet here which tells you how to set a watch, which I'm guessing you guys will have used an ETA before anyway, so probably no issues there. Okay, so let's move on to the watch. Try and get it into focus for you guys. Okay, so I went for the Blue Satinato. I think it's a really great colour actually. I know a lot of people go for the polished one, but I imagine loads of you have polished watches in your collection anyway, whereas this just gives it a different level. It looks a lot more understated. You get that little engraved Squale logo just there for you, the coin edge, really nicely done. This is one of the more modern ones, so it has the screws in the bezel. And I think for me, most of the actual appeal of this watch is just in aesthetics. Just because, you know, there's plenty of watches that have got questionable heritage on how long they go back, all using movements from the same people. So this is an ETA 2824 with a date. Okay, great, it's a waterproof case. I think it goes down to 500 meters. I'm never going down to 500 meters, so as long as I can do a bit of snorkeling with it, that's about as much as it'll have to go through. The next biggest issue that people tend to ask about is the bezel. For me, I actually think it's got a really nice action to it. It is a 60 click bezel, so they do have a tiny bit of play in there. But you know what, like, I think this cost me less than £700, and people are happy to spend £200 on a Seiko SKX, and they don't even line up properly. So I think there's a matter of questionable perceived value in that. You do have this really great orange minute hand, which I think really pops. And again, it does have the two logos. If that's a big deal for you, I don't know, I quite like it. Loads of people again complain about it. Like, you either like it or you don't. I'm not really sure why people are complaining extra. The crown has a little sign insignia, the Von Buren part of it. I think this is probably the biggest negative of the watch for me. I just don't like using the crown. I think it's a bit awkward to get to. I've got quite small hands and it's a bit of a pain. And obviously you always want to make sure that it's closed down when you are going underwater, so to have a crown that is a bit fiddly, it's probably not the best. The watch keeps excellent time. Haven't needed to send it back for regulation. In all honesty, all my stuff goes in it. My collection is circulating all the time, so how often I'd actually, you know, wear it for 2 weeks solid is probably never going to happen. So people question the quality of this, like I mentioned, but I think it looks great. I've probably tested it out more than a lot of people. I've taken it on 2 holidays, been swimming with it, been to just swimming pools, I've even been into a sauna with it, which is a bit of a faux pas, but survived fine. And probably the biggest test, I did 22 days hiking with it in Everest Base Camp. So this one my girlfriend wore, and it never missed a beat. So that was probably the most continuous wear it's ever had, and kept up perfectly with an equally comparable 2824 watch here, and timing wise absolutely fine. So yeah, it survived 22 days of monsoon season in Nepal, altitude, freezing cold temperatures, and you know, when I looked at it, it cheered me up a little bit when it was dark and gloomy and hadn't seen anything through fog for about 2 days. It was quite nice to have a look at my watch and notice the little orange accents. Wonder what made them decide to do a third brand in here. But the actual watch the watch is 42mm in diameter. If you want another lug to lug, maybe just check out the brochure or look online. Okay, so it does have a little engraved case back and really nice edges as well. I really like that. So this isn't the nicest one, I think. I'm not sure I'll be able to get it in, but if you look at Christopher Ward, the difference in case back is noticeable. However, I've also played about with plenty of Rolexes where there's nothing, so that doesn't mind. So I have tiny wrists, and this being a 42, I was a little bit worried. However, I think it works really well. I'll try and get it to focus. It sits comfortably. The lack of the crown sticking out at 3 really brings down the size of it. And I think it's just got that like really retro feel. When it's a summer's day, I stick it on a Titan NATO, which really fits it well. And I'm really happy with it. This one, as I've said, is going to a new home. I've had it for a year now. It's just time for me to experience a few different watches. And like I say, I've already got the sentimental attachment to the Christopher Ward, which I took to Everest, so this is going to make way. One thing I would note, though, if you are choosing between the Satinato and the polished one, bear in mind, like I said, I've done plenty of training hikes with this up all the Munros in Scotland. Took it to Everest Base Camp, and look at it. There's barely any scratches. It's really, really nice. And yet, if I took a polished watch, that'd be really crap. That's just something that I was worried about, because you see early PVD and you see bad PVD and good PVD, whereas the sandblasting on this just keeps it looking fresh for longer. Okay guys, this is only a little video, just plenty of people ask me about this watch all the time on Instagram and stuff, so that's my opinion. I think in terms of an ETA watch, it's probably around the right price. Go with a seller that you trust, because they'll stand behind the watch anyway, even if Squale are a bit of a pain to deal with. I do think that's could even be a massive issue for the company. I think with the whole smartwatch era, customer service is what people are going to go for and pay this extra premium for a mid-range brand. And if they're letting you down there, then I think that's a bad signal for the company. However, you know, anyone can service these ETAs. Aluminium bezel, if you're really stressed, just buy one now, and then you'll never really have to send it back to Squale anyway. So yeah, I definitely highly recommend. I think it's a great watch. Like I say, I don't know if the heritage is that big a deal to you. Then, you know, you'll decide how genuine you think that is. You know, they did make cases for people like Blancpain, but this isn't that. This is just a really cool looking 60s, 70s dive watch, which isn't a homage and stands out. This is the only watch I get compliments on. It's probably like 10 to 1 compared to this. This flies under the radar. There's people compliment me on it all the time. So I think if that's what you're looking for, this is the way forward. Alright guys, like I said, this is the first video. I hope you enjoy, I hope you like, hope it's useful. Let me know in any comments and stuff. Cheers.